Dr. Collins, first of all, I wish you really were my cousin. We joke about that every time I
would
see
welcome
you.
that if we could discover it. With a little DNA testing, we probably could test that.
Right? You mentioned in your statement the tremendous progress that has resulted from the biomedical research into heart disease, cancer, HIV, AIDS. I'm concerned that we're not making that same kind of concerted investment when it comes to Alzheimer's disease. Today, 5.2 million Americans are suffering from Alzheimer's. That's double the amount it was, the number that it was in 1980. And if nothing is done to change the trajectory of the disease, it's estimated that as many as 16 million Americans will be living with Alzheimer's by the year 2025. And in addition to the human suffering that is caused by Alzheimer's, the cost of caring for people with Alzheimer's is absolutely enormous. It's estimated that the cost this year will be $214 billion, and $150 billion comes from the federal Medicaid and Medicare programs. So at a time when the cost is soaring, we're spending less than 1/3 of 1% of that $214 billion on Alzheimer's research. I know that you're very familiar with the national plan to address Alzheimer's, which has as its primary goal to prevent or effectively treat Alzheimer's by the year 2025. The chairman of the advisory council created by that law, with whom I've talked extensively, says we really should be devoting $2 billion a year to Alzheimer's research instead of just $600 million. And we're falling so short of the amount that has been recommended by the experts. What is your judgment? It seems to me, as I talk to researchers, there are a lot of promising ideas out there. So the problem's not a lack of ideas, it's a lack of funding. Could you comment on whether you believe we should be doing more in this area?
Yeah, I would be happy to. I put up on the screen the scary numbers that you just referred to, the green line there projecting how many people will have Alzheimer's disease if nothing is done. And you'll see it goes up to a very frightening number, close to 14 million people compared to the 5 million now. And the blue bars are what we'll be spending on it, over $1 trillion predicted by 2050 if nothing is done. So we have to find a solution to prevent and treat this disease. And I am passionate about this, as I know many of the members of this committee that I've spoken to about this over the years. We are, I think, at a really exciting scientific time. We have come up with new strategies to understand what happens early on in the Alzheimer's brain to trigger this process and what we might do to intervene. And I would not have been able to say that quite as confidently a few years ago. New technologies, including imaging, including genomics, are giving us insights into the fundamental process that we need to figure out how to prevent and reverse. And on top of that, new ideas about therapeutics are coming along, and we are running now dozens of clinical trials. Most of them will fail. One of the things that we are doing right now that becomes really important to assess whether something is working or not is to start clinical trials at the earliest moment, even sometimes before people have any symptoms at all, but who are at high risk of Alzheimer's. Because if you wait until somebody already has substantial evidence of cognitive problem, then you know you've already lost a substantial fraction of their brain cells. With the ability now to make predictions about who's at risk, though, we can start those treatments early. We can use biomarkers to assess if they're working. A new project which I'm very excited about is a partnership with the pharmaceutical industry, where they have agreed to put money on the table. NIH has put money on the table. We're working together in an open access fashion to try to see, could we identify every possible strategy that anybody can think of for Alzheimer's disease. This has not been tried before in quite this way, with lots of milestones and deliverables put in there. Now, your question, are we spending enough? Well, I would say it was wonderful that this Congress came up with the extra $100 million in the current fiscal year, and there are people on this committee who had a big role, including Madam Chairwoman, in making sure that that was there, and that was a substantial increment that gave everybody a real push. In my professional judgment, do we need more if we were going to really push this at the level that it could be? Yes, we do. It is hard to say, though, over the course of this now to 2025 timetable for the Alzheimer's plan, exactly what's the funding trajectory necessary to get there. But clearly, if we're going to succeed at this, we're going to need the best and brightest scientists taking risks, and we at the present time are not really doing as much as we could.
Thank you.